One sleepover, one house, and a family that would never be the same. Picture this. It's supposed to be a normal teenage night. Girls laughing, music playing, snacks everywhere, phones glued to hands. The kind of night you forget about by Monday. But this wasn't just any house. This was Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian's house. And Alabama Barker, Travis's daughter, was about to throw a sleepover that would spiral so far out of control that it wouldn't just make headlines. It would crack open secrets the entire Kardashian-Barker world had been quietly sitting on for years. So what actually happened that night? And why did it blow up the way it did? Stay with me, because this story goes so much deeper than a few teenagers making bad decisions. Let's set the scene. Alabama Barker grew up in the spotlight whether she wanted to or not. Her dad, Travis Barker, one of the most famous rock drummers alive, married Kourtney Kardashian in 2022 in that massive, talked about everywhere wedding in Italy. Overnight, Alabama didn't just have a stepmom. She had a stepmom who was part of the most watched family on the planet. Cameras, paparazzi, reality TV, social media drama. That was her life now. Every move she made, someone was watching. And teenagers under that kind of pressure? They crack. Or they push limits. Sometimes both. So when Alabama hosted the sleepover, it wasn't a quiet little gathering. We're talking about a house full of teens, noise, chaos, the kind of energy that's exciting until suddenly it isn't. Reports started surfacing that things at the Barker Kardashian home got out of hand. And not in a small way. The house, this gorgeous, expensive, very much a celebrity home, reportedly took real damage. Not just a spilled drink or a knocked-over lamp. We're talking about the kind of mess and damage that made adults furious and had everyone asking the same question. Where were the parents? And that's where it gets interesting. Because Travis and Kourtney weren't absent in the way you might think. But there was a gap. A window. And teenagers, especially ones who've grown up around fame and freedom and very little ordinary consequence, they know how to find that window. Alabama had been building her own social media following for years. She had fans. She had influence. She had teenage confidence that nothing would go too wrong. Until it did. Now here's what nobody was really talking about publicly, and this is the part that quietly started spreading through the tabloids and fan communities like wildfire. The sleepover didn't just reveal a party gone wrong. It pulled back a curtain on the tension that had been simmering inside this blended family for a long time. Think about it. You take Kourtney Kardashian, a woman who built her entire identity around being a mother, around organic everything, around structure and wellness and control, and you mix that with Travis Barker's world. Rock and roll energy. Tattoos. Kids who grew up backstage at concerts. Alabama and her brother Landon weren't raised in the Kardashian bubble. They had their own culture, their own rules, their own normal. Blending those two worlds sounds amazing on a magazine cover. In real life, it's complicated. Really complicated. And the sleepover was the moment all of that complication boiled to the surface. Kourtney's reaction, according to those close to the situation, wasn't just anger about the house. It was bigger than that. It was about feeling like her home. The space she'd worked so hard to build into something calm and controlled and intentional had been disrespected. Invaded almost. And Travis? Travis was caught in the middle. Because Alabama is his daughter. His blood. And no matter how much he loved Kourtney, asking a father to come down hard on his own kid is never simple. This is the emotional tripwire that so many blended families never talk about publicly. But this family doesn't get to keep things private. Not when your last name is Kardashian. Not when millions of people are already watching every Instagram post, every paparazzi shot, every offhand comment in an interview. So the whispers started. Was there conflict between Kourtney and Alabama? Were Travis and Kourtney fighting behind closed doors? Was the fairy tale blended family actually falling apart before it ever really came together? Here's what we know for certain. Alabama Barker is not shy. She's spoken her mind online before. She's defended her dad. She's clapped back at critics. She's a teenager who grew up watching her family be scrutinized and decided the answer was to lean in rather than hide. So when the sleepover drama exploded online and people started pointing fingers at her, she didn't just disappear quietly. And that response, whatever form it took, only poured more fuel onto a fire that was already completely out of control. The Kardashian machine is built on one thing above everything else: the narrative. Who controls the story controls the power. And for the first time in a while, nobody seemed to be controlling this one. It was loose. It was messy. It was real in a way that reality TV almost never actually is. People online were divided hard. Some said Alabama was just being a teenager, and the reaction was completely overblown. Others said this was a symptom of a much bigger problem, that two massively famous parents were so wrapped up in their own lives, their own brands, their own drama, that their kids were essentially raising themselves in a mansion while the world watched. And maybe, just maybe, both things are true at the same time. Because that's the thing about famous families that we always forget until moments like this rip it open. Underneath the perfect photos and the designer clothes and the stunning houses and the dream weddings, there are real kids, real tensions, real consequences, real damage. Sometimes, literally. The house got fixed. Obviously. Money fixes walls and floors, and whatever else gets broken at a party gone wrong. But the cracks in the family dynamic? Those take a lot longer. Those don't just get patched over with a renovation. And if you think this is the last time we're going to hear about the drama brewing inside the Barker Kardashian household, you haven't been paying attention to this family at all. Because with the Kardashians, there is always a next chapter. Always another layer underneath the one you just thought you understood. Always something being filmed, something being whispered, something bubbling up just below the surface. The sleepover was just the beginning. And something tells me we haven't heard the last of Alabama Barker either. Because that girl? She's got her father's fearlessness and her stepmother's survival instincts. That combination doesn't stay quiet for long. Watch this space.